Hi friends, on the earth, 71% of this land is water and 29 is land. In that small place, we have established habitats and continue to survive. How big is the sea before that our imagine also becomes very small. Under this vast sea, there are thousands of mysterious places and objects. It is impossible to know all about them. In all, the Titanic is a wonderful and heartbreaking story. This was the largest ship of all in those days. From Southampton to New York began its first voyage in 1912. But before he reaches his destination, the Titanic sank on April 15, 1912 after colliding with an iceberg in the ocean. 1,500 lives were lost. It has been 73 years in the sinking of this ship. No one understands where the ship sank under any circumstance. That's almost 73 years later. Robert and Arbel, an archaeologist and an American naval officer in 1985, both went on a mission to search the Titanic. They now know where the Titanic is underwater circumstance. The Titanic looks like this. This is the front of the Titanic. These beautiful sandals are one of the first-class passengers on the Titanic, Adik Rosin. She was to go to New York on this ship. She was one of the few lucky survivors of the accident. Also, this gown belongs to Elizabeth Millanger, one of the second-class passengers on the Titanic. There are many such objects. Similar valuable Titanic artifacts in the National Maritime Museum tell us the history of Titanic. They tried to take it out through several missions, but no one succeeded. Even though the technology is highly advanced in terms of access, let's find out why we still cannot get the Titanic out of the sea. At the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, at the depth of 4,000 meters, the world-famous ship is now like this. According to the official report, the ship was in good condition before sinking. In the same way that the Titanic sank into the sea, the ship broken in two. But why did that happen? According to the new evidence report, the Titanic did not sink due to a collision with an iceberg. The Titanic is said to have sunk due to fire. When did researchers begin to find these remains? They then discovered that the objects were as they were when the ship sank. Several attempts were made to pull the ship out, but everyone understands that it is impossible to take it out. The Titanic has not been taken out, even with the help of advanced technology. Even now, it is so lonely in the depth of the ocean. How a sunken ship is usually taken out of the sea. It is not possible to get the Titanic out that way, because it split into two parts, sank. But with the help of a high-tech submarine, powerful magnet system, it can be taken out. But there are many challenges in this regard. The first of these is the weight of the Titanic. It weighs about 1,43,000 tons, which is very much. The second is the pressure of the water. The deeper the water pressure, the higher the pressure. So, the depth at which the Titanic sank is very high. The water pressure there is even higher. That makes the ship weight even higher. That is, to bring an object weight 1 kg to the surface from the where the Titanic sank, about 392 kilograms of Newton force is required. 1 kilonewton force is about 102 equivalent to kilograms. But 392 kilograms of newtons per kilogram of weight is required here. Imagine for yourself how much pressure there is. But so far, scientists have not been able to make such a powerful magnetic or submarine. Scientists have no plans to launch the Titanic in the first place. So, they tried to get the Titanic out in many ways. First, with the help of ping pong balls, they tried to recover the Titanic. Yes, what you hear is true. With the help of ping pong balls, the scientists want to fill them on the sunken Titanic. This puts pressure on the balls. Doing so with a submarine or very large magnet, through it would be possible to pull the ship out. But at the time it was not true that these ping pong balls would explore under the pressure of the water as they went to in the depth of the ocean. Second plan, with the help of very big balloons. Through this work would not be carried out. They fill helium gas in large balloons. If those balloons bite the ship, then those balloons will put pressure on the top. It was true that the Titanic could be pulled out the way, but scientists missed how to fill helium gas in these balloons in such deeper water. The idea also failed. Finally, what did the scientists think? Density of ice. The density of ice is low compared to the density of water. So, ice floats on water. Where are they on the Titanic? If the water there is somehow transformed into ice, it was true that the ship could be brought from there. The idea came from an American engineer named John Pair. He says the research will require large amounts of liquid nitrogen. This idea is great, but according to the British gas company BOC, if this project is carried out, about 500,000 nitrogen will be required. How can such a large quantity of liquid nitrogen be carried to such depths in the mind of all at once? The questions arose. Lastly, the project was not a success. This was followed by a shipbuilding company that come up with the idea to take out the Titanic. Accordingly, the Titanic must be cleaned of debris. This requires a machine like a powerful vacuum cleaner. It is then mixed with a thick metal chain of a strong metal. The rest of the work is done by this machine. No submarine has to be built for it. Its tank must be completely filled with gas. Not only this, with the help of these you can do welding. According to researchers, the projects will require 20 million watts of current. A power plant is also required to generate this current, but how to build a power plant in the deep sea has become a big problem. The scientists also threw about a floating power plant. There can be no electric wires at such deep the wires will break. But even if something is done on this project is undertaken, this project will be forgotten as very expensive project. Therefore, this project was stopped immediately. Many big companies thought they could handle this project. But how expensive is it? It is better not to think about it, because it is impossible to recover as much money as it cost to take out the Titanic. For this reason, no one wants to run this project. Even if any company pull it out and put it in museum, the cost of this will take more than 100 years to recover. According to the scientists, bacteria may have eaten most of this debris, but some parts of the ship are still intact. Some have disappeared altogether. These bacteria can survive even at almost freezing temperatures. They are the root cause of the current problem. These microorganisms feed on the metal fragments. These are called stalactites. The ship fragments from like rust and hang down. They are very delicate. Shake them and they will break and become dry, turning into a paste in water. Interestingly, however, the Titanic windows were intact. The window panes are still intact, but everything around them is disappearing. These glasses take us into the history of Titanic. Bacteria will completely destroy the Titanic on the next few years. In addition, the Titanic became home to many marine fish. Hence, the UNESCO in 2001, the Titanic was declared an underwater cultural heritage protective site. It is said that one can buy another beautiful ship that is much money as it costs to take this ship out. No company would want to make such a mistake. But some experts say it is also important to explore these ship fragments because these fragments are the only evidence it can explain the Titanic disaster. All those who survived the incident are not longer alive. That's why we need to do that we can while these fragments that tell the story of the Titanic remain. In total, the team did 5 subtitles. They spent many hours exploring these fragments in the ocean. Estimates how long will take for the Titanic debris to completely disaster from the seabed. Due to this, the ship can never be taken out. That is, in the coming generations, we may not even be left with the wreckage of the Titanic. Only stories are told. If you like this video, click the like button and share it to your friends and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.